Welcome back. Our second story tonight, India's cities are drowning. First it was the IT capital, Bengaluru. Now it's the Millennium City, Gurugram. One spell of rain, 15 minutes of rain, and it's the same picture. Submerged roads, crawling traffic, cars that are stuck in knee-deep water. The question is, if our modern-day cities, if our 21st century cities cannot take this, then who should be held responsible for it?
A fresh spell of rains, an old story. Bengaluru and Mumbai then, Millennium City, Gurugram today. Traffic at a virtual standstill, schools and so-called dispensable services shut, advisories and warnings, the flimsy formula the Aam Aadmi has learned to accept with a shrug. So what if this NCR town houses country headquarters of multinational corporate giants? The administration asked corporate offices and private institutions in the district to guide their employees to work from home.
12 बजे के करीब बारिश हुई थी और उसके बाद देर रात तक बारिश रही है और यही वजह रही है कि गुरुग्राम के बहुत से इलाकों में काफी पानी जो है वो भरा हुआ है.
The culprit is continuous and heavy rains over the past 24 hours. The Gurugram Metropolitan Development Authority says it deployed teams on the ground through the night to remove water from critical areas. 3,000 cops, PCR vans and tow-away vehicles were stationed to ease difficult situations.
इनको को पहले से अपनी प्रिपरेशन करके रखनी चाहिए ना. जब इनको को पता है कि इस रोड पे पानी काफी ज्यादा भर जाता है, लोगों को दिक्कत परेशानी होती है आने जाने में.
पानी में कितना पानी भरा हुआ है, इतना गवर्नमेंट ने अच्छे रोड बना दिए, सुप्रीम कोर्ट इतना अच्छा पूरा वीआईपी रोड है ये, फिर भी इतना पानी भरा हुआ है.
पंप से पानी कहाँ जाएगा? नीचे जाएगा. नीचे फिर भी भरा पड़ा है. आप नीचे अगर कोई बंदा जाता है, नीचे भी तो पानी भर रहा है. पंप से ये तो है नहीं है, पंप से यहाँ का पानी नीचे फेंक दोगे.
The Met Office forecasts more rains in the Delhi NCR region over the coming 2 days too, on account of a stated cyclonic circulation over northwestern MP and southwestern UP.
Now rain over NCR will be gradually reduced. There are chances like Delhi today, we have given moderate. Yesterday we have given heavy and it was realized. Today we are giving only moderate rain, but tomorrow there are chances that rain may increase actually. By 25th night, NCR will be clear from cloud.
Bear in mind that like Bengaluru or Mumbai or Chennai, Gurugram and Delhi NCR are among the country's frontline metro municipalities, big industry and big tax collections. As infrastructure cracks attributed to nature's fury show up again and again, the refrain that arises is, doesn't the Aam Aadmi deserve better?
All right, we're also opening up our phone lines tonight and asking a very simple question from Bangalore to Bombay to now Gurugram and Delhi. Who is accountable for our sinking cities? You can call us. Please do call us 0120-434-1895 and please do share your views. Our panel joining us this evening, Dilip Cherian is founder of Perfect Relations. Dishu Kukreja is world-renowned urban planner and architect. Dr. M. Ramachandran, former Secretary in the Ministry of Urban Development. And Umesh Sehgal is former Chief Secretary of Delhi. Dilip, let me start with you first. There's got to be a problem. There's definitely a problem. It's not a one-city issue. It's Bangalore, it is Bombay, it is Delhi and Gurugram. And for God's sake, Gurugram is called the Millennium City. It's a city that's come up only after the year 2000. And if this modern-day 21st century city cannot handle a bout of rain, then I shudder to think about some of the age-old cities that we have.
Actually, age-old cities are better off. New age cities are in much more dire distress. Planning is bad. Water flows are obstructing what used to be traditional flows. A receding monsoon, which has been over generous as compared to the monsoon, which barely gave Delhi too much rain, is causing a problem in the NCR region. And is this something that's going to go away? I suspect not. Government intervention needs to go beyond the monsoon season. It's not about cleaning and clearing up drains or putting pumps into place. It's about figuring out whether the lay of the land, the way drains and natural flows of water have been obstructed, can be reopened again. And that's probably the only answer we have in the medium term. Will it work in the short term? No. Is there going to be distress in the short term? I suspect there is. But I think that it's going to get worse if we continue with this kind of rampant urbanization, which is unplanned and does not take into account natural contours of the land.
You know, the amount of revenues that the Metropolitan Corporation of Gurugram gets annually is about 3,000 crores, of which close to 1,000 crores is just property tax alone. So I want to ask Dikshu Kukreja, it doesn't take 3,000 crores to clear drains, surely. I mean, you have the biggest IT cities, IT parks in the outer ring road in Bengaluru. Look at what happened a couple of weeks ago. Infosys, Google, Microsoft, Facebook, all their offices drowned in water. It's not a lack of money.
So, Zach, it's really ironical. It's really ironical because, the way Millennium City is shaped up and the visuals that you are showing, I happen to have landed in London today and my plane could not land because of torrential rains that were taking place here. But when it landed and when I drove into the city, everything was so well managed. There were no such images out here in this part of the world. And this is also an old city, by the way.
Correct.
In the infrastructure plan, I think in the Gurugram, what is unfortunate is that there is a complete mismanagement right from the word go. When you look at the faulty planning, there itself there are problems associated with the way the L1 tenders are done, and there's poor planning, not adequate capacity building is done. And today we all know with climate change, etc., you do have flash rains. And
Correct.
in these kind of situations, we have not done the adequate capacity sizing for an infrastructure. Added to it comes the fact that when you look at the execution, the roads are so poorly constructed that after a couple of years, the roads cave in or start falling apart. And then roads always need a maintenance. And that is something lacking in the case of Gurgaon, and for that matter, most cities across India.
You know,
So
Dr.
while the
Ramchandran.
solutions are simple.
Yeah.
It's just sad that this is happening.
Dr. Ramchandran is the former secretary in the Ministry of Urban Development. Look, I think it's a very simple thing. It's lack of drainage systems. I can understand that in every city there will always be low-lying areas and those low-lying areas will flood. But how can you have highways that are completely flooded out, Dr. Ramchandran? I mean, this is basic lack of drainage, proper functioning drainage systems. That is what it boils down to.
If you're talking about national highways, I think they have a system of providing for drains on both sides of the road. But if you look about the city per se, one good way of understanding would be what is the total length of roads and what is the drainage coverage in the city. If you don't mind, I'll just quote one figure. This is about a study which was undertaken some 10 years back. For Bengaluru, the coverage was 5.3% with drains. So that you can imagine the dimensions of the problem. For Delhi, it was again 5.4%. This may be a little outdated. Of course, it has changed to some extent. So when we build roads, if we don't provide for drains, and drains which can carry water and take it out. Of course, excessive rains, one can understand it could take some time for the water
I'm sorry I'm interrupting. So when somebody builds a road, assuming a road contractor is building the road, whether it's under the national highway, state highway, whatever it is, whose responsibility is it to provide drain in those roads?
In the specification, it has to be included that there should be a drain as well. That's what I said. National highway is different culture. But if you look at cities, what normally happens is, I'm sure we all have seen, the footpaths are taken away to widen the roads. And along the sides of the roads, there is no proper drain built. The water can flow. That seems to be the pattern in a good number of our cities.
Okay, I want to go across to our first caller. Mr. Rangarajan is calling us from Bengaluru, where we witnessed just a couple of weeks ago large parts of what's called the outer ring road, the new IT corridor, completely submerged. Now, when you see what's happening here in Gurugram, Mr. Rangarajan, what does that make you feel? Does it make you feel angry?
No, I've been living in Mumbai. I lived in Gurugram. I have lived in Bangalore. I see universally we have a lack of planning. Town planning, urban planning is lacking. We have seen the experience of in Mumbai about 10 years back, 10 or 15 years back, and the entire city was drowned. And we never learned the experience of making new urban planning. And it's very thoughtless of the managers of the urban planning in all the metro cities. We were not planning for the future. I am sitting with my grandchild. who is listening to it, and she says, what is the future for us when we will not be allowed to go to school, will not be able to reach the offices, will not be able to do anything when the season strikes, the rain strikes.
All right. Thanks very much, Mr. Rangarajan. Incidentally, here in the entire National Capital Region, schools were shut today because there was no way that kids could reach school. I mean, can you imagine, like, you have to go back to online classes just because, a city can't handle rain? Arindam is calling us from Gurugram. Yes, Arindam, which part of Gurugram are you, and are you relatively safe and okay?
Safe or okay, I can't say, but we are staying in Venice.
Okay.
And all surrounded by water. Whenever it rains, the water generally gets in. I am in sector 56, and in our area, in the specific area where I stay, we get water. We are just next to the golf course extension road, which is supposed to be one of the posh roads. Unfortunately, 5-6 years back, the same issue had happened, and then the government had, the municipality said that they don't have funds. Then they made a development authority, and even the development authority doesn't do the work. So it is all the right hand blaming the left hand and the left hand blaming the right hand.
All right, thanks very much for your call. Fascinating thing about Gurugram is just in the last 2-3 years or so, there is a fascinating set of underpasses and over bridges and all of that that's come up. But for God's sake, build some drains, will you? Build some drains where the water can drain out too. Anyway, let me go to Umesh Sehgal, because everybody, all of our callers, all of our guests are saying, sir, this is just simply bad urban planning. So I keep coming back to that question. I mean, whose job it is to do this urban planning? When a road is built, is it bound on the contractor that you also have to build the drain adjacent to that road?
No, that is a must. There is a drain adjacent to every road. There has to be a drain. But the water ultimately has to be, if you see the macro position, this is the micro position, it drains into the next drain. But ultimately, where is it to go? The water has to flow into the Jamuna. Now, one of the things that we have ignored is, except the some part of Lutyens and some part of the ridge, our Delhi is same level as almost the same level as the mean mean flood level of the Jamuna. Now, as the rains come, especially in the hinterland, as in Delhi, the Jamuna level rises. So the water which flows in from the storm water drains, from the road drains, it goes into the storm water drains. From the storm water drains, it goes into the river. As the river rises, the flow of water decreases. It comes less. And the second problem is your underpasses. Underpasses, they have put pumps. Pumps are not enough to take away the rain in less than a couple of hours. So, in my view, the solution is rainwater harvesting. We have to harvest part of this water, let all the water not flow into the Jamuna. If roof water can be taken into the storm water drains, into the groundwater, why not road water as well?
All right.
And if some technological improvements have to be made, let us work on it.
I think that's
because
a fair
unless
point.
we do that, year after year, we are going to have the same problem.
Yeah, if you can do rainwater harvesting for buildings, for houses, apartments,
properly
etc.
designed.
Yeah.
We need. No, it can be made for roads also. It can be done,
correct. I agree with you.
There is the problem. They say there are tires and.
Yeah. All right.
So
let me get a couple more callers in
this problem
because that's the whole. We're trying to get as many callers in. Madhav Rao is calling us from Bangalore. Mr. Madhav Rao, good evening.
Good evening to all the panelists also. I have only a very simple point. I don't want to use any technical jargon. I want to make it very, very simple here. Okay. See, Bangalore, yes, we have seen there are a lot of problems regarding flooding, and same thing we are seeing elsewhere also. See, it is very simple. When we are hungry, what we will do? We will not really do anything. We just go out and out to get our food. It is very simple. So, when there is any problem, it should not be so difficult to solve the problem. It is only the question of really showing that intent and seriousness to solve the problem. In a legislature or a parliament, if they want to really get their wages increase, okay, either the MPs or the MLAs here, what they do, they take 10-15 minutes actually to get that bill passed.
Okay.
Whether it is pension or wages, whatever it is. Such a serious problem. If they really want to solve it, it's not difficult at all. Once they decide, automatically all the technical points will come.
All right.
There are such eminent people are there, intelligent people are there. It should not be difficult at all.
All right, Mr. Madhurao, thank you for your call. Kushal is calling us from Delhi. Kushal.
Yeah, good evening to all the panelists and everybody here.
Yes.
This is an annual problem or happening for last 70 years. Maybe it was less earlier and more because of uncontrolled constructions and all these things. Narrow lanes, by lanes, city developing to more than their magnitude. Whatever is being done is under the government eyes and their ears, but nothing is being done to control anything. Every year we spend so much of money, and where it goes finally in which drain, nobody knows.
All right. Okay, Kushal, thank you for your call. Let me get a couple more callers in. Unni Nair is calling us from Gurugram. Yes, Mr. Nair.
Hello.
Yes, go ahead.
Zaka, good evening. I'm calling you from Gurugram, sector 57. Now, this is something which we had been, debating every year, and this has been going on in Gurugram for the last 3-4 years. No, but nothing is coming out of this. Now, I also feel that as taxpayers, we all are responsible for this. We are not raising our voice against this as a community. And that's primarily the reason that, this is going on for year after year, and we are suffering year after year.
Okay, thanks, Uni, for your call. Can I ask Dilip to respond to that? I mean, there's a view, a large section of people are saying that, it can't just be the politicians, it can't just be the government. How much can government do? Do you subscribe to that view?
I don't. Most of what is needed at this point of time is actually large-scale intervention, not in the hands of even RWAs. So you really need to, as one of the panelists has said, think in terms of redesigning a lot of things.
Okay.
How roads are constructed, what stormwater drains can do, how can you ensure, for example, that much greater levels of water harvesting can be encouraged. These require very simple but large-scale governmental interventions.
All right.
A tax break to road constructors who actually do this, whatever it is. So I think that it's very generous to say we must all be responsible, but there's pretty little that individuals can do when it rains and pours like this.
I think, as individuals, as, companies, private establishments, we pay our taxes. It's not our job to go build roads or drains. It's the job of the government. It's the job of the contractors to do that. It's the job of the government to ensure that contractors build those drains. It's the job of the municipality to ensure those drains are cleared out before the monsoon season. Anyway, I've got Brijesh, who's also calling us from Delhi. He'll be our final caller. Yeah, Brijesh, quickly, please, sir. Thank you.
Good evening, Jaka. I have just heard all these panelists. These people have pointed out so many things and all. At the same time, what we have learned from the Lutyens Delhi, the Britishers 75 to 80 years back, which they have built up the system in New Delhi area.
Correct.
We should learn from them. Okay, fine, how the drainage should be made in the city so that there should be no waterlogging and other things.
All right. Thank you for your call, Brijesh. Let me quickly ask Dikshu Kukreja that. This is something that Delhiites always ask. How come Lutyens Delhi never floods? I mean, it's 100 years old, whereas Gurugram, which is 20 years old, is all flooded. All right, I think we've lost Dikshu. Mr. Ramchandran, you want to respond to that?
See, New Delhi is a different type of area where we all know that the construction is not to that extent as it happens in normal other cities. It's much more spread out, and it had originally been planned, so there is a flow of water. Of course, we are building new structures which may come in the way. That has to be watched. So it's an old planned part of the city as far as New Delhi is concerned, and there it is much more open. The roads are wider. All these are.
No, so net, what you're saying is we used to plan our cities better 100 years ago than we are planning 20 years ago.
There is a big failure as far as this entire process is concerned. It's not one single person. The local body itself has a certain responsibility.
Okay, we'll leave it at that. I'm afraid, I don't know if this will cut ice with the new folks, the new generation that's paying taxes, whether it's in the IT corridor in Bengaluru, whether it's in the cyber cities of Gurugram. Why should they have to bear the brunt of bad urban planning? And it's a story year after year. Thanks very much for your time. Mario joining you in a moment.